President Tinubu's highly anticipated ministerial nominees list has finally been sent to the Senate. It ends weeks of speculation about the caliber and capability of the people that will make up the president's cabinet. Although the Constitution makes provision for a minimum of 36 ministers, only 28 names made it to the list. A second list is expected. On this first list, no states or portfolios were attached. Arise correspondent Omo Bazoaye reports that unlike before, the ministerial list was hand-delivered by the Chief of Staff to the President.
Minutes after emerging from a closed-door session, Senate did what has not been done before, invoking Section 1A, 1B, and Section 12 of its standing rules to admit Femi Gbajabiamila, the Chief of Staff to President Bola Tinubu, into the chamber to hand-deliver the much-awaited executive communication from the presidency. Gbajabiamila is also the immediate past Speaker of the House of Representatives. Tinubu's ministerial list arrived the Senate few hours to the expiration of the constitutional deadline, mandating him to forward the names of those he wants to hire into his cabinet to the Senate for vetting and approval within 60 days after his inauguration. But the list unveiled turned out to be an abridged version made up of only 28 nominees with no states or portfolios attached. There was a promise that more names will follow soon. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, quickly unveiled it to senators who themselves had waited long for the executive communication.
In compliance with the provisions of Section 147, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I am pleased to forward to the Senate for confirmation the underlisted 28 ministerial nominees.
Dominating Tinubu's ministerial list are former governors, strong political allies believed to have worked for Tinubu's victory at the polls, and a sprinkle of technocrats. Some of the former governors include Nasir El-Rufai and Nyesom Wike, who happens to be a card-carrying member of the main opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP. Also on the list are former governor of Jigawa State, Abubakar Badaru, and former governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, who currently serves as deputy majority leader in the Senate.
Yes, the list we have so far is not complete, and I'm hoping that by the time the complete list is brought to us, we'll begin to see holistically the Executive Council of His Excellency, the President of the Federation. But for now, we have our fingers crossed and see when they bring the rest of the list.
Tinubu's list is also significantly dominated by former National Assembly members, mostly senators. Top on the list is the current acting national chairman of the governing All Progressive Congress APC, Senator Abubakar Kyari from Borno State. Also on the list is Senator John Eno from Cross River State and Senator Sani Abubakar Danladi. Former Deputy Chief Whip of the House of Representatives in Kiruka Onyejocha from Abia State, Honorable Olubumi Tunjiojo and Abubakar Momo complete the list of former National Assembly members on Tinubu's ministerial list. Former Executive Director, Nexim Bank, Stella Okotiete from Delta State, and the Special Advisor to the President on Communication Strategy and Special Duties, Dele Alake, also made the list. Alake is a close ally of President Tinubu. Former Commissioner in Lagos, Wale Edu, is another right-hand man of the President on the list. A surprise package on the ministerial list is the publisher of Blueprint newspapers, Mohammed Idris. One of the lead counsels in Tinubu's case at the Election Petition Tribunal, Lateef Fagbemi, and their core party governorship candidate in Oyo State, Waheed Adebayo Adelabu, also made the list.
The 28 names we received, we expected more than 28 because we have 36 states, and every state should have a nominee by the constitutional requirements. but they have just sent 28. And we're expecting more names. From the 28 names we've received, we are pleased with some of the names we have seen.
This time around, the 10th Senate is going to examine the characters, the personalities, the experiences, the background of every nominee.
Meanwhile, the Senate has suspended all its rules and even shifted its annual recess to enable it begin the screening and confirmation of the ministerial nominees starting from Monday. Omo Bazwaye, Arise News.
Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, says President Tinubu diligently reviewed the list before submitting it to the Senate. He called the list a balance between political shrewdness and experienced technocrats. Gbajabiamila says not attaching portfolios to the nominees is deliberate. Rufai.
He had, as you know, where he had 60 days from the time of inauguration, as stipulated by in the Constitution. He has fulfilled that requirement of the Constitution. Mr. President took his time to sift through those names. He dissected those names with a fine-tooth comb, and that's what you've seen. Each and every one, I believe, of the persons on that list are worth being on that list. But I really hope that we haven't missed anything that would have necessitated any name not being on that list. But we wait and see. It's a good mix of both people with political acumen and technocrats, as they say. So it's a good balance.
Well, Rufai, the list is out, well, partially.
Oh yeah, the list is out partially. Interesting times. Met the 60-day timeline. Only for us to see people we already know in the list, which I feel very iffy about. You know, I expected more. I'm not really pumped up about the list, and I'll tell you my reasons. Yes, there's some technocrats in the list. Give it to them. Professor Pate is one. That's currently chief of Gavi. He's highly respected in the public health circles around the world. He's been Minister of State before. He's making an encore. You also have the likes of Wale Edun, which is another one, chairman of Chapel. You know, you have people like that in the list. You also have Adebayo Adelabu there. Adelabu used to be former deputy governor of CBN, former PwC man. Done very well for himself. Ran for governor a couple of years ago under the APC, now the Accord Party, because he couldn't get a ticket from the APC. Who else do you have there? You have, like I said, Betta Edu, National Women Leader, another politician, you know, one of the youngest people serve as commissioner in Cross River State for Health, was special advisor on health to the governor before. Betta is a prominent feature here. You have Anatu Musawa. Anatu Musawa has a degree in law from Buckingham University. Then you have Governor Yisom Wike, you know, been governor for 8 years, former Minister of State for Education. And you wonder, okay, we thought we were going to see very, you know, fresh, free technocrats and all of that. But hey, what do we know? You have Abubakar Kyari, the acting chairman of the APC, is also in there. You have Stella Okochete. Stella Okochete used to be ED of Nexim Bank. And you remember the back and forth when she was made ED then, you know, as regards qualification and positioning and things like that. We also remember that we have other people there that you look. But anyway, Nkiruka Yajocha, you know, former deputy minority leader, House of Rep, another politician there. Good women representation. Part of the list, about 7 women up there. Currently 7 senators, if my memory serves me right. Well, only Umahi is a 7th senator. Yeah, that is there. And you have a period of other people, mostly politicians and all of that, but people argue to a very large extent. We're expecting technocrats that, you know, had never been seen before, people that could be given a chance, but you have a mix of politicians and all of that. But hey, fingers crossed. But the part I'm not really down with is the part that we're not putting portfolios so that the Senate knows how to screen them, so that we know the questions to ask them. So there are possible questions, frequently asked questions we want to ask. And I hope the Senate's not going to go on this tirade of just take a bow. Probably, you want to hear them say take a bow for people like Umahi because they're already in the Senate. I think that's not right. I think we should be able to ask them due questions. And next time probably we'll put portfolios. But that's not a complete list. Let's see when the remainder of the names are added. But I'm not pumped up. Not pumped up.
Right.
Okay, I don't agree with those who say that this ministerial list, 28 names submitted, Chief of Staff Gbajabiamila says 13 more names will be sent, which means that President Tinubu is looking at a total of 41 names. Second, we have also been told by Femi Gbajabiamila, the Chief of Staff, that the ministries, new ministries will be created, which means there will be a lot of juggling. So I started by saying I don't agree with those who say that this is a collection of serpents and vultures. I think a more objective view, would be to take a balanced view of that list. And I will categorize that. Out of the 28 names, 7 were women, right?
Yes.
About 25%. And if you look at all the women that have been chosen, there are women who have quality experience. Nkiruka Onyejucha had been a 4-time member of the House of Representatives. When the PDP was not going to give her the ticket in 2019, she moved to the APC and won. So she has significant experience. Iman Suleiman Ibrahim had been a special advisor. She has held public office, so it's not as if she's new to it. Hannatu Musawa has an LLM in oil and gas, and she's been in politics. She's been involved in the campaign as a spokesperson for the campaign. Doris Uzoka, is also not just coming from nowhere. So you see that pattern. Doris Uzoka, for example, has been commissioner in, I think, Imo State. Now, Stella Okotete has been appointed director, I think, business development at Nizim Bank twice. When she was reappointed in 2019, there was some complaint. I think one online, publication saying, oh, she's not qualified. But when you check her profile, you see that, she's very well educated and she has significant experience, of more than 23 years. Uju Kennedy Ohaneye, was the only female presidential aspirant who referred to Tinubu as her daddy as she was stepping down. Well, I don't know her profile. Dr. Betta Edu has been a commissioner for health in Cross River State. She's also been the woman leader of the APC, and she's highly qualified. Okay? Above all, she's a Malabrese, a product of the University of Calabar. You see, Malabites and Malabreses are showing up everywhere, so you don't expect me to criticize our choice. In other words, these 7 women, that are on that list, there's none of them that you can throw away. So what you see, the pattern that you see with these women is that President Tinubu is looking for people who have experience, not people who are going to come and learn on the job. Because if you become a minister, one of the problems we used to have is that people will be made minister, they don't know how the public service works. By the time you review their budget performance later in the year, you see that budget performance is about 20%, 30%. 1-2 years in the position, they are just beginning to learn the ropes. But these ones have had quality experience. That's the list of the ladies on that list. Now let's look at the former governors. 4 of them. Nasir Rufai. He has experience. You may not agree with his politics, but he has experience and he's a well-educated man. You may not agree with his style, but he knows the territory. If you move from Nasir Rufai, go to Governor David Umahi. Governor David Umahi has been a 2-term governor in Ebonyi State. So it's not as if a novice is coming to the job. Okay? But what I don't know is whether Governor David Umahi, former governor of Ebonyi State, is going to leave his seat in the Senate to go and be a minister. If I were to advise him, I would tell him to politely turn down the offer and stay in the Senate, where he can use his experience to contribute to discussions I don't think he will be one of those senators who will go there to sleep. So he should be satisfied with that. Taking Nyesom Wike, well, Nyesom Wike's emergence on that list is controversial, but give it to him. Nyesom Wike has experience. You may also not like his politics. You may not like his style. He has been chairman of a local government. He has been minister of state. He has been governor. He has been everywhere. But you may query his style and all of that. And the PDP is saying, oh, good riddance to bad rubbish. And that if he's given a position, they will know what to do. But in terms of experience again, there's a case to be made for him. The same argument can be presented with regard to Badaru Abubakar, who was very supportive of Governor Tinubu during the campaigns. And you will see that, okay, in his own case, yes, he also has experience also. Who else is there? And then another thing I see in that list is the attempt to include youths. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, who is on that list, was born in 1982. The young man is just 41, but he has good qualifications. Betta Edu, who is the youngest on the list, is 36. Stella Okotete is 39. So these are very young people that, President Tinubu is trying to bring, on board. So on the whole, however, there are some political people there, political job for the boys. Okay, you may query that because some of the people on that list, you query where they are coming from. But there are concrete technocrats. Mr. Dele Alake has been in journalism for the whole of his life, from radio to print to being commissioner to politics. So you can't question his capacity. You may not like his style, but you can't question his competence. Why is it Wale Edun you want to question? Nobody can question Wale Edun's, as a technocrat, credentials as a technocrat. Or is it Lateef Fagbemi, one of the leading lawyers in this country, one of the products, I think, of Chief Afe Babalola's chambers, who has been doing very well, and then he went on to establish Lateef Fagbemi and Co. As Attorney General of the Federation, if that is the portfolio he's given, you cannot question his credentials. Or is it Mohammed Idris, publisher of Blueprint, who is coming from a background of journalism? Or is it Adegoke Adelabu, who, apart from having a strong pedigree, has also had very good experience in preparing for office? Mohammed Ali Patti, he has been Minister of State. He's one of the leading intellectuals in his field, not just in Nigeria, but also internationally. But there are some politicians there, as I said, that you may say, well, these ones are being rewarded, like the man that ran for governorship in Enugu State and failed, and some other ones who are probably being compensated for their contribution for missing out opportunities. But on the whole, I think it's a fair list. But we also look forward to the remaining 13 names, and we also hope that the president will rethink the refusal to attach portfolios. The argument put up by the chief of staff doesn't make sense to me. He says the president needs to be given room to tinker with the list as he wishes. Didn't he think through the list before sending it to the Senate? People should cut us some slack and know that they are talking to intelligent people. You come and be giving excuses that will not fly. But in any case, the president has fulfilled Section 147, sub 2 of the 1999 Constitution. We hope that the governors will follow suit, because some governors have also not announced their lists. They should hurry up.
Well, I believe that now that the president has announced his list, some governors will be free to announce their own list now, at least announce his partial list. But just as has been said, when you want to give, if one could give a name to this ministerial list, it would be a list of, as has been, technocrats and some old names. So a recycling of some names that we're perhaps used to. In some cases as well, no surprises with the names we've seen there. No surprise to see Mr. Dele Alake there, even though it looks like he's been given a promotion from being SA. A few promotions there, Mr. Dele Alake, Ms. Hannatu Musawa, Mr. Wale Edun, who move from being SA if they do pass through the ministerial screening to becoming substantive ministers. Also, as has been praised, we must look at it. There's been a lot of spotlight on the women. And perhaps it's because during his campaign, the president had said he was going to apply the 35% affirmation to include more women in his government. And so you can imagine how a number of people have x-rayed the women in his cabinet or a potential cabinet, and also their qualifications, not just a tick box, not just to have women in his cabinet, but to see that they are women of timber and caliber. So I really would applaud that. 25% of this list of the 28 names are women. In 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari appointed the same number of women, 7 women, out of 42 ministers, 17%. So this is an improvement in terms of the representation of women in this particular cabinet. And as already been mentioned, it's also important to note that majority of the young people nominated are women. Dr. Betta Edu was the youngest female leader, women's leader of the APC, and now has emerged as the youngest minister in this particular list. Congratulations to her. And she's not just there by virtue of being an APC chieftain, but also because of her record. You know, she's been Commissioner of Health in Cross River State and was actually the president of the Commissioners of Health in the Federation at some point. So she comes with experience. And then very importantly, Miss Iman Suleiman Ibrahim was the DG of NAPTIP and recorded a number of successes during her tenure. So that's something to definitely center on. Proud of Honorable Nkiruka Onyejocha, who's been in politics for a while. It's often said, who is a ranking house of the member of the House, and it's often said that women, you have to search really deep to find Nigerian women in politics, but it's great to see her bring experience to bear. A number of, while some people might be disappointed with this list, is because we also do see a number of, even though, yes, they might be said to be technocrats, but recycled names. And so the question then begs that, are these the only people who can serve in Nigeria? Are these the only names that can come up? Hence, it then looks as if the president is trying to compensate or still moving, not moving away with the old as is expected. This is renewed hope government. And so what people are hoping for is some form of fresh blood injected into the leadership of the nation. We don't want to see recycled names. We don't want to see governors, yes, who have done quite well in service, but in terms of outstanding, perhaps not. It's often said that the reward for good work is more work. So if you're going to give people, if you're going to appoint them again, then it must be that they were exceptional, outstanding while serving as governors. There are a number of perspectives differ on this particular matter. Yes, former Governor Ministerial Rufai has done quite well in terms of his tenure in government, but we must also remember the agitations of the South and the Southern Kaduna, the killings there, and some of the criticisms he had while he was in office. So yes, he's the loyalist of the president, but some people might be a bit skeptical about his appointment. Governor Dave Umahi as well, in terms of his track record, a lot of times people talk about the fact that he's a Tinubu loyalist. We want people who are more than loyalists, people who have served, and it is clear that they have served excellently. We're looking forward again, as has been said, to the full list of nominees, and hopefully it will be more inspiring and more exciting for Nigerians to see fresh blood, young people, women represented. 35% is what we're going for, and we can do more, that even be more excellent. Move on to another story. Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Umo Eno, unveils and presents his administration's economic blueprint. Eno, during the closing ceremony of the event, which lasted for 4 days of intensive dialogue with experts from different fields in Uyo, urged them to join hands with him to bring these lofty ideas to a reality. Dignitaries at the event laud Governor Eno on his Arise agenda and asked that every hand must be on deck to make it a dream come true.
I'd like to thank Akwa Ibomites again for the privilege you have given to us to serve. It's really a privilege and it's not a right. I keep saying that we're not the most qualified. I may not have all the credentials and all of that, but I believe God has prepared me sufficiently for this moment. And I'm sure as we tag along, you will see on a daily basis that we are prepared for the job. It is God that qualifies. It is no man. After all, if it was by qualification only, David will never have been king. All the facilitators, members of the various committees, and indeed other policy experts, too numerous to mention here, And please, if you think those committees have been dissolved, I'd like you to know that those committees are now standing committees. We will work with you, all of you, in your various committees, and you'll be working side by side with the commissioners to ensure that we can implement all of the policies that you have stated and all of the roadmaps particularly. It's not just enough to put the theory down. Let's move from theory to practical, and let's get you to help us do these things. We are committed to implementing the roadmap we have set out for ourselves. They are quite ambitious, but we know that with all of your support and our attitudinal change, like we've heard this morning, we will succeed. And so we like our youths to get involved so that we can become one of the most wealthiest people around the place. And we are committed to equipping our people, especially our youth, with the necessary skill set so that they can be as competitive as their counterparts elsewhere.
During your electioneering campaign, you had a dream, you had a vision, and you did not just allow it stay in you, you wrote it down. Again, to make it plain, you didn't keep it to yourself to say it's mine. After all, I'm the leader. Let me run with it. You made it plain by gathering experts, by gathering sons and daughters of Akwa Ibom State, but also stretching out to pick a few experts from outside the state to come and go through the vision, do their own contributions to enable us, enable you, come out with a vision that will not be only yours, but that of the people of Akwa Ibom State.
No matter the efforts of government, if we don't change our mindset as a people, this project will not benefit us. The difference between us and developed nations are not much more of powerful leaderships. I think Akwa Ibom State has been blessed with very powerful leaderships in the past dispensation. And now we've been given the best of the best.
Interestingly, His Excellency Governor Eno assumed office armed with an instrument that is even more than a political manifesto. He hit the ground running with a blueprint called the Economic Blueprint for Consolidation and Expansion. This blueprint was crafted in the twilight of the outgone administration to serve as a guide and working document for the administration of His Excellency Pastor Eno. The Arise agenda will serve as a flagship economic agenda that will drive development efforts in this administration.
Today is a culmination of everything you said and promised the Akwa Ibom people during our campaign. True to your words, you want to literally take an oath that you will stand by everything you said. For 3 days you brought our people. Should you have made a mistake, should you have been wrong in what you said, let them come and look at it if it is doable. They told you yesterday all the things you said are doable.
Well, congratulations to the Akwa Ibom State government, and we hope that the Rise agenda will be successfully implemented.